Hey everyone. What is today? I'll tell you kind of what's going on in the world. It's Saturday today, and it may not be Saturday when you're watching this. It may be another day, but happy weekend. I'm going to be sitting this out in just a few minutes as soon as I get done recording this. Um, Obviously, I'm all bundled up. I wasn't going to do a video, and actually, I was just kind of hanging out and meditating, and um, I had this visual kind of come in. I had a whole thing happen, and it was around. Those of you that have done some of the 21 day programs know Emily, and she is really good at finding old quotes that I've posted on Facebook and sharing them. And I'll read it really quickly because I actually put it up on Instagram. Um, this was something from a couple years ago, and it started this whole well, we're going to do this thing in just a second, but it says, love is never divided or subtracted, only multiplied and shared. Sometimes we may feel its loss, but what we really feel is the overwhelm of another choice, thought, or emotion. Love is always there, steady, strong, and true. Now, I kind of want to dissect that a little bit because I wanted to do an energy update, and when I went into the feel of it and asked kind of, okay, like, what's the main tilt? And I say that on purpose because the word that I got was axis, and I kept seeing one of the themes and things that had been recurring and coming up as I was working on the CCU material and along with kind of the archangelic energies, which a lot of times we think of as kind of like there's no other way to say it other than to say it. We go, oh, that's very old energy. Oh, it's very old. Oh, old. When reframed as I've been talking about it in the last year, we started talking about the Lyran presence, and we really talked about the dimensional structures and things of that nature. And I'm getting really hot too. It probably doesn't help that I have this beanie on. I may take it off and y'all can see my home haircut I gave myself yesterday. I used the side guard on the top. Came out a little short. But as we go through the dimensions, we start to open up. Like, obviously, I put all of this in as like the bonus content for CCU this year because I really want us to go deep. We're going to have, I said this in the last video, up through about April. This is not, we're all releasing. So I'm just going to do this like, we're going to just cleanse the energy as we go. Through April, we're going to have, this is not like prediction week or anything, but there's a lot of turmoil in if we look out in the world, like we see it, it's there. And it's, whenever we have a train going 300 miles an hour, if you slam on the brakes, what happens? Everybody goes, ah, and the whole thing derails. And I don't mean derails and like, okay, yeah, let's derail and start over and do it. I don't mean like that kind of energy, even though there is a lot of that going on in the collective as well. This is a time, and last year I talked a lot about it, and some of us didn't so much embrace that going within, and we're really being asked, especially like now through March. April's a different energy. I'm going to kind of go through the bubbles of it. Now through March, we have a really opportune time to detach from all of the noise. And sometimes the noise is external, and sometimes the noise is internal, and sometimes it's really hard to know the difference. And so I'm going to work a little bit of that as we talk as well. I'm doing hands too underneath the cameras. So we're going to do a little bit of that as we talk, really moving through what's mine, what's not mine. I did a video a few years ago. I think I probably took it down, but I was dressed all in blue and the background is blue. And I did it on purpose because I wanted you to see how easily sometimes we fade in to the background, or how we allow the background to become us, and how easily we can get lost in that background, or we allow ourselves to fade into that background. And so just right now, I just want you to take a deep breath, just plain and simple, just, and no judgment. Just feel where you are right now, in your body, in your mind, in your being, in existence. And no matter, you may watch this video a couple times. You may turn it off right now. Every time you take a deep breath, and you can do this anytime you want. You don't have to be watching this video. It doesn't have to have anything to do with me. This is all about you. Just take a deep breath and just say, okay, where am I? And when you ask yourself that, pay attention to if any of that chatter, like that voice that answers, that part of you that speaks, if there's any part of that that also wants to define you and say, who am I? Right? Like you didn't ask that, you said, where am I? But if a part of that voice that answers back also tries to tell you who you are, and if that part of you that says that tells you you're anything other than love. Now, we can also have like alter ego, which is sort of the part of us that battles our own godliness, and that part of us that is one and that connects and that knows who we truly are. And that's the part of us that can sometimes get us in trouble by really manipulating the light. And it's kind of where sometimes something that is not the light will appear as the light, and we can kind of wander off our path because it looks really appealing. And so that's why it's just very important. And right now we're being asked from those higher realms to really step back. And stepping back doesn't mean like, oh, somebody's, I'm going to make this very simple. Like if you're a parent, right? Like, oh, my child is, falling off of their bike and tumbling down a hill and headed towards a wild pack of wolves, teeth salivating. That doesn't mean just, let them fall down the hill. No, like take the action that is the divinely inspired right action in that situation. It doesn't mean don't act, but it means step back from what is yours and what isn't, and really learn discernment. And that's the energy that's going to be pouring in the next several months, is discernment. And from that space, what we're going to be doing today around that word axis, tilt, axis. Did I say that? Or I don't know if I said tilt, but the word that came in around what we're doing is axis. And when I said, what is that? There was kind of I'm getting it again right now. So we'll just take another deep breath and just direct all of your energy centers to open up. And just allow yourself to align with the highest for you in this moment right now. And that's always going to change because you're always going to expand. That's why when we do the energy journeys, every time you hear something different, you go, was that said the last time? And it was always said, yet in the space or the dimension that you are occupying now, you may not have heard it because you may not have been open to it or aware of that space where it existed. And so you're opening and unlocking using the keys of consciousness and awareness. You're opening up. Not that anything is locked. You're unfolding. So from that perspective, allow yourself to become aware of whatever right now is your most expanded space of awareness that you can hold from a space of comfort and ease, while also allowing that energy to flow and fill you so that you continually expand with comfort and ease into a larger space of light and holding more light and being more light. And we're going to ask that archangelic energy of empowerment and of love and of sovereignty and of joy. And again, it's that Lyran energy. It allows, so really quickly, I'll go through this. So we start out, there's sort of first and second dimensional, which is the structures of pure fear, pure terror. Most of us in this place, in this plane, we don't come in to experience that. Those places do exist. We'll just call it fear. We move into the space of third dimensional reality, which is physicality. You can also have that first and second physicality, but this is mostly a space of physicality made manifest through choice, through duality, through opposition and polarity. We have moved beyond that in a much larger context, yet a lot of people still don't have the divine wiring, the energetics to move through that. And that has been something that has been ongoing. It really started in about the late, say about 1890. Started gaining traction in the early 1900s with people really starting to open up to channeling. I mean, this had happened earlier on, but as a whole and as a collective, we had been using religion to sort of gain a context of who we were. And there were always mystics and sages, but we as a collective interpreted through a sort of a larger template of religion to find our way or to figure out who we were. And there were always, Jesus himself said, I was speaking parables, and let those with ears hear and let those with eyes see. So there were always things there, yet it all went a little wonky, right? There's patriarchy and all of this stuff. So as the energy has enlightened and expanded and lightened up, that energy has also expanded. So we've stepped into sort of that fourth dimensional space, which is that we've still got kind of a foot in polarity duality. And then we start to put our foot over in the fifth dimension, which is the open heart. It's the synchronicity. It's living from love. It's that space of asking what would love do and really acting from that space, and not love from the definition of, a lot of us had experiences with like maybe parents where it's like, well, I love you, so I'm going to impose my limitations upon you to save you from what my perception of my experience has taught me. That's love from that third dimensional perspective of fear and all of those things. So this is that pure love through divine love of knowing that I can do anything. And that's that space that I talk about in Love, Life, God, of really where the smaller self and the higher self, what we've termed the higher self, start to align up. And then you start to transcend and ascend into that space of divine knowingness of the oneness, and you start to pull that into alignment. Now, as you do that, you start to move into the sixth, seventh dimension, where you start to experience the self from the observational standpoint of the one. Now, from that perspective, you start to see everything through the eyes of Source, including the self. As you do that and you can align, assuming that you're not, assuming everything is in a balanced perspective, you begin to say, okay, I understand. Divine love is not wanting to harm the self or other. It is that space of collective unification and oneness. It is the space where I love everyone as I love myself, and understanding that we are all individuation of the same one, and understanding the holographic nature and cosmic boundaries and all of these spaces. So it is the gift of freedom to everyone. Then as we start to move into expanding even beyond that, we move into the Palladian experience of self-love, and we start to open up into the Andromedan energy of nurturing, which is a much larger energy that I talk about. Then we move into the Lyran energies, which is that empowerment, which that's what we've typically associated with the Archangel energy. That brings into effect basically this sort of portal. It's a portal, but really it looks like a portal from down here in sort of 3, 4, 5. But as we ascend into it, it's like we've broken the glass ceiling, and we are now in this whole new space. And from that space, we then activate that silver flame, which is the kohan of self. It's that complete mastery, that flame of pure love and mastery of the physical through all of those realms, which really allows us to take wing and fly. And then from there, we sort of step into a whole new space where there's a different sort of omniversal understanding of who we are through the self. So from that perspective, that's where we are heading, and it may take a little while to head there. It may take no time at all to head there, depending on where we are and where we're rooted in through time and space. And so part of that, when I talked about in CCU, where we're going to do a light language key, I'm looking over there because I have part of it over here. That's part of kind of the energies of where we're going with some of the new material. The Ankarian energy comes into play there, because that's the energy that has been seeded throughout our earthly existence, and even a lot more, because then we get into Orion and all these other energies to awaken us into that space of opening up and ascending and moving throughout all of that space. As we've been doing that, we have been lifting out lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of energy. Now, as we do that, a lot of you are familiar with the Schumann resonance, and that's been spiking and going up for a very long time. The Earth's sort of spinning faster and faster and faster and faster. There is also a space where just vibrationally, we're all starting to tilt a little bit. It's causing a little bit of a space where our balance, a lot of us are holding our balance, but collectively, there's a bit of an implosion, and people are feeling rocked. And a lot of the people that are feeling rocked the most don't understand why they're feeling rocked. Are some of the people who are the most conscious, because they are aware and they are awake, and they have sort of done their work, and all of this external, going back to what I was talking about before, it's not internal, it's external, but the external is a mirror to the internal, so they are so connected to everyone else, and they haven't really worked on those boundaries and the empowerment, because empowerment in the old structure meant patriarchy, and so they've kind of resisted that, and they've gone through all of the spiritual stuff, but they've not really done all the embodiment work, which then leads into a lot of the abundant stuff that a lot of people still have issues with. So it really does all tie together. That's the space, though, where now we're starting to feel that wobble. So they're going, okay, let's wrap it up. So what we want to do is, if you could picture the Earth, well, some of you may have pictured that, but picture the Earth. We're gonna, for the sake of now, just picture a ball, and then picture a nice little spherical, and then but picture, well, okay, we're gonna start with that, and just picture this rotating perfectly around the ball like a halo, right around the center, completely balanced, completely in place, no obstacles. And even as I say that, I feel the resistance to that, like it's got to move some other place. But if we set this group intention, we can really move that through, just sending pure white light, utilizing all of the energies we've been talking about, and even those still unknown to us that are purely of the light and of love, divine love, asking all of that assistance right now. Bringing that energy through. There we go, to assist in the stabilization. Not a grid, saying that's important, not a grid, not a matrix. Just a stabilization of the rotation and the balance as we ascend. It's kind of like an elevator that's popped one of its cords. So it's just that space of stabilizing. So kind of like how we go through and we stabilize our magnetic fields. This is not necessarily the magnetic field of Earth. This is like the magnetic, biomorphic, genetic. There's a lot of that, but it's also pulling out a lot of the what we would term the negative energies, so we can really move forward into that fourth, fifth, sixth, just that omniversal space of pure love. It's quite big. So if you will just see that moving, and then what I want to do is, while we do that, we're going to move into ourself. And then just picture a golden sphere of light inside you, right in the, interesting, in the solar plexus. I was going to say in the heart chakra. They said no, move it down, solar plexus, because we're going to grow your empowerment. And it's going to grow through the solar plexus into the heart, but also down through the stomach, so that you can digest this energy and allow it. The golden light is just pure source physicalized in action here and now. And just allow it to, I'm equal parts cold and hot. I love it when this happens. Okay, so we're really bringing that energy in. Just allow that energy now to expand out beyond you. Whew. And just see it create a beautiful circle all the way around you. About 3 feet on either side, so it's about a 6 foot. Seven foot, if you're a little taller. Okay, now they're saying move it on out to 9 feet. Whew, there we go. And just allow that circle, of that sphere of pure golden light, it's going to start to spin. You're going to stay exactly where you are. Allow that light to start spinning forward like this. Back to front. And allow it to begin bringing on a multidimensional property. We're going to bring in some white light, just like a photograph, a flash of light. That white light, just pure source. But we're, instead of bringing it to the outside of that golden light, that physicalized source, we're bringing it inside. Of course, as above, so below, as within, so without, but we're bringing it within. And we're going to start spinning that. And that's going to begin moving in different directions. That's got this multidimensional property that allows it to flow in every direction at once. Cross-eyed for a second. There we go. Ooh. It's like breaking down all of the best way I can describe it is like, it's like a ligaments. I'm just say ligamenture, but ligaments, the things that were holding us in place, that were keeping us from expanding, that were also sort of keeping us all cattywampus. So letting us just roll free in our sphere of source. Ooh. And just keep allowing that light every time it flashes, we're just going to keep on flashing that light. As the light itself stays constant and true, we're going to keep on flashing more and more, just allowing everything to dissipate, dissipate, dissipate. As we bring in the beautiful pink energies of Andromeda to nurture, support, and love inside that white light. The beautiful orange energies of Onkarian, which just allows for vitality and play, and allows for the structure of connection to all of the aspects of ourself, deep and wide, deep and wide. There's a fountain flowing deep and wide, as the song says. This is allowing you to really establish that connection fully. And now, as within, so without, so creating this beautiful space around you. They're saying that's enough for right now. We're going to just anchor that in. So as that sphere is there, we're also going to create a column with those same lights, same order, just coming around from the heavens, also from deep within the multidimensional earth, just welcoming you and grounding you and centralizing you, and allowing that to move clockwise. So that would be as if there is a 6 in front of you, a 3 to your, well, on the video it would be this way, so a 3 to your left, and a 9 to your right, and a 12 behind you, and just allowing it to spin. Whoa, some of you got real dizzy there. So now we're going to bring a triangle in and set that where that's interesting. We're basically creating a Merkaba here, so we're bringing 2 triangles in. So the first one we're going to bring in has the point in front of you. The second one, straight line with the point in back of you, and stack those on top of each other. And those have a green. One is green and one is pink. And so to me, that represents, the green represents the infinite wisdom, the truth, being able to see everything through the eyes of Source. And the other, again, has that nurturing. It's almost, for me, it's always been kind of a divine feminine, but here it's neutral, gender neutral. It's just that ability to completely feel nurtured and connected to that divine truth, and to this, almost as if that column were an umbilical cord, but straight into pure source energy, so that you can just relax and be. And from that space, you can detach from everything else and have that clear perspective that allows you to be flowing and downloading through those dimensions. Whew. And so now we're just going to ask that we begin to ground this energy in. Blessed be. There we go. Yeah. So that was big. So just kind of take some space to feel into that. Allow that energy to balance. I'm sure I'll put out some more updates as we go. I know people have already started posting on the site, so I'll check in here and there on that. But yeah, so that was kind of a little journey. I think we're good. They're saying, yeah, they're off the stage. All right, so I love you. I'll include any information you need below, but this really wasn't about the program. This was really about that harmonizing and balancing and creating that stabilized, balanced field, both for us and really starting to put that into the planet and the collective, so that we can begin to move in a different way. So maybe you'll see my hair on the next video. All right, lots of love, everybody. Bye-bye.